Self-development with tactics.
So, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. It is 1 p.m., exactly 1 p.m. actually. So 1 p.m. and 57, 58, 60. Well, I do have quite some time left. I started the day quite early, actually way too early, leading to me not getting enough sleep as I actually should get, which is pretty dumb, because the whole week I'm not getting sleep, and then on the weekends I also don't get enough sleep. I don't feel particularly bad. I don't feel exhausted. I just know that there is some things that I should be doing. And I don't know if I am going to do them in the extent that I should be doing them in. Especially fucking learning for my fucking driving license fucking thing. I hate it. I don't know why. I absolutely can't stand it. Maybe I shouldn't just, be judging myself. I'm forced to to having actually more time for learning and doing and shit and whatnot. So it's actually quite fine. It shouldn't be bothering me that much. Anyway, let's see. I'm gonna just pick something out of this section. Shall the truth make you free? Hinduism, Buddhism, Stoicism, skepticism, and the nature of philosophical inquiry. And I'm hearing birds. And the weather is turning quite nicely. Stoicism and romantic love and romantic love and commitment. Well, this could be a good one. Let's see. Is Stoicism true? What does that mean anyway? I don't wonder, so I'm gonna also skip that one for the moment. Another one on Stoicism and Buddhism, the self and even free will. I have very recently gone through something. What would a Stoic do? Response to Shorb or Sartre. Stoicism and Christianity. Stoicism and Christianity 2. One Greek Buddha on the difference between religions and philosophies. Well, let's actually go through that. Is or was Stoicism a religion? I would say no, because there are substantive differences, though there is also overlap. Between religions and philosophies, and Stoicism was and is primarily a philosophy. It is certainly the case that Stoicism can be religious or not. This sort of well, actually don't want to go through this. Let's actually go through some Reddit things, because I just feel the pain developing inside of me, and I just don't want to fucking deal with that, to really be honest. Don't fear death, never begin. Fear never beginning to live. Well, this is quite... it is something that I've been talking about before. It is something that I read about before. It is something that's quite like, start living, don't fear death. It's like, something that you're probably hearing every single fucking day. So I'm also going to skip that one. The minute we stop comparing our lives to other people's, everything is actually pretty damn good, isn't it? First of all, learn to accept where you are right now. Good point. The second point is, or the second step is, learn to respect your past. Understand that you have made your decisions with your best judgment and available information at the time, and so has everyone else around you. You're who you are today because of your past. Learn to be grateful for tiny things, the smell of fresh cup of coffee, a new song, having a moment for yourself, learning something new. Dare to ask, what's going on here? Does social media bring you joy? The thing is, I think social media used correctly is an amazing thing. Period. Fucking period. And if you don't agree, well, then you don't agree. It is fine. If you agree, then yeah, you agree. It is fine. I couldn't care less. But the thing is, I hate seeing people demonizing, very important, demonizing social media. I do want to point out that, of course, there's negative parts. There's negative sides of quite everything. There's always going to be upsides and there's always going to be downsides of whatever the fuck you're talking about. Sometimes you need a bit more context, sometimes you have to add things, sometimes you have to quite, communicate things more clearly so that things are more clear, What I mean is, okay, drinking water is healthy. Yeah, one could say, yes, that's totally the case. On the other hand, I could also say, no, that's totally not the case, When I add some context and say, well, if you drink too much water, you could also die, So therefore, articulating things very, very clearly so that there is no space for interpretation, so that there is no space for basically understanding whatever you're saying in a different way is kind of the key here, Just a little bit of a side note. So saying, okay, social media is entirely bad, we should be demonizing it, it should not be there anymore and whatnot, is absolutely wrong, because there's upsides. On the other hand, there's also downsides, but it always comes up to how you're using it, or to which extent you're using it. Are you using it too much? Are you using it too quote unquote little? Maybe there's also something like that. I don't know. I mean, staying in contact with people over social media, which is totally going to be the case for some people, this is amazing, and we're able, well, one could argue, is WhatsApp, social media? What is the definition of social media anyway? I don't know. The fifth point anyway is, when was the last time you enjoyed yourself so much you forgot time existed? Well, actually quite when I'm working out, I really do enjoy myself, which is, yeah, I like working out. And anyway, if you must compare yourself today to yourself yesterday. See how far you have come. Imagine how much further you will go. And the thing is, we all want to be so quick, and we all want to do everything in a year, and we all want to do everything in 2 years. And, maybe sometimes it just takes some time. And this is totally going to be the case for certain things. Certain things just take some time. It is what it is. Whether you like that or not, it is going to be something that you have to deal with. The seventh, if you're unhappy with where you are today, realize that you're only one decision away from completely changing your life. Well, it also feels a bit too fast for me. Like, okay, just change one thing and everything is going to be amazing. Well, to some degree, yeah, but it is also going to take some time until that plays out. Like, okay, stop smoking and you're going to have an amazing life. Yeah, but not tomorrow. Tomorrow you're probably going to feel pretty shit because you're not smoking. So it's like, I don't like the word being realistic, because I don't necessarily think that being realistic is, that it makes sense. On the other hand, it's like, let's be realistic, Things are not going to be as fast as we sometimes want them to be. Things are not going to change as fast as sometimes we want them to change, and so on. And sometimes things are actually way too fast and we would like them to be a bit slower, so that we can analyze it, show it, see it, and whatnot, Maybe this could be applied to some scientists that want to actually see something, but it is way too fast, and so they can't see it. Anyway. Edit. Wow, thanks guys. I posted this because I'm still very much in the middle of all this myself, and I've been over many years. It's definitely a lifelong journey, as every single line here, 1 to 8, is 1,000 times easier said than done. Absolutely the fucking case. Things are gonna be not easy. For those of you saying there aren't any good parts of life to hold on to, I hear you. But I'd also challenge you to define what good really means to you without comparison to others. I know people who live in poverty and are absolutely grateful and satisfied versus people who have everything one can imagine yet completely unhappy. The grass is always greener, isn't it? It's never an absolute measure, it is how we interpret things. Have the courage to challenge the status quo of this interpretation and make it your own. If you're reading this in peace and you have the time to pause for a second and reflect, chances are you're doing pretty okay. Thanks for being present. Well, something that, it didn't overcome me, but I've noticed it, I've seen it, is, there are certain decisions that I'm, kind of having to make in the next few months that are coming. It's not an easy decision. It definitely is not, but but I shouldn't act as if this is life-changing. You know, it is about studying. I mean, I do really have a pretty hard time deciding what I want to study and what I should study, and I have been analyzing it and thinking about it, and yeah, kind of, you know, going through scenarios for quite some time, and I wasn't yet able to come to any concrete conclusion. And well, it really gives me a hard time, unfortunately, because I feel like that whatever is in my head that I could study, there's always a few points that I don't necessarily like about them, or on the other hand, don't really fit me as a person. Two things that I'm having in mind is, first of all, architecture, and second of all, communication and marketing. So the problem with architecture is that you kind of need to be able to be very, it is good if you're organized. You know, it's always going to be good. I'm just a very, not chaotic, but you know, I'm fine with chaos. You know, nothing really is ordered in my life. I'm also really fine with creating work that I don't necessarily am 100% happy with. You know, there's often going to be some things that I don't like, but I'm fine with that. I've kind of trained myself to be able to do so. But when it is about architecture, one needs to be relatively precise, I'd say, you know, and also in terms of drawing per hand or with your hand. Of course, people are going to use the computer, and you're also probably going to use the computer. And on the other hand, I'm not quite sure whether modeling and creating those models is something for me, if I'm good at that, if this is something that I will enjoy doing. And probably, well, it is a part of it. You know, maybe sometimes we are, you know, going to be able to use 3D printing to do so, and we don't have to just make it with your hands and creating with our hands. Well, yeah, and on the other hand, it is like, okay, I'm having a completely new job. Like now I'm a graphic designer. I'm having a diploma and whatnot, and so on and so forth, and a degree. But this is going to be a completely different job. So I then have two completely different jobs. I, of course, am going to learn certain things that I can also use in graphic design, and I can also use some things from graphic design in architecture. You know, in the end, it is still something creative. In the end, it is still something, or it's still a subject in which you are creating things, and you're having to be creative, and you have, well, it is artistic. It really definitely is artistic, which was actually also one of the reasons why I really like it, because it is a combination of technical things, which I, you know, tend to also pretty much enjoy, and the artistic thing. Like, okay, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to make something, and I'm going to create something, but it needs to be working. Like, okay, I can make a pretty cool house and a pretty cool home, but yeah, if it falls down when I fucking build it, it's not a pretty good home, you know, even though it looks cool and even though it kind of has amazing functions and whatever, you know. On the other hand, when it comes to marketing, it is like, is it really something, like marketing in specific, is it really something that I need to be learning? On the other hand, communication is something completely different. You know, communication is about, for me at least, something that I'm having in mind is, how can I communicate something so that I get X, you know, cause and effect. You know, I'm causing communication, and what is the effect of this going to be? And or how and what do I need to communicate so that I get this effect, you know, cause effect, which is very interesting for me. And yeah, I really like it. And I also think that I like marketing, and I feel that I can use this with my graphic design thing. Like, I'm still going to be a graphic designer, but then thinking more about the wording part, thinking more about what I'm communicating, thinking more about why I'm communicating certain things feels good, and it feels interesting. On the other hand, I think that, you know, having a degree in communications as well is going to do me a favor, or going to do me pretty good in terms of, okay, I'm going to have a second job as well. You know, I can implement it. I'm having a second job. But on the other hand, I'm maybe going away from creating things. which may or may not be that cool. And also in the previous school that I've been attending, or that I've attended, the whole communication thing wasn't that amazing. Like, maybe I just like the practical part about it. Even though the theoretical thing, it's amazing because I need to think very, very, very fucking hard. And it's basically crushing my mind to sometimes think around 75 corners so that I come to this conclusion the other theoretical scientists in communication came to. Anyway, I'm willing to go through one last question and then I'm gonna end the episode. Fuck it, sausage font. I like it. I think it's really cool, actually. Taking the time to notice. Are you one of the many who walk through life too busy to take a moment to stop and be one with nature? Taking the time to notice is good for your mental health. Tweet. Early yesterday morning, I stepped out on the front step to take my son to a school work program. The air was brisk, but warmer than the day before. I thought, man, a warmer day finally. I enjoyed it as well, by the way. As I set my laptop bag down by my car so I could unlock the door, something made me pause. It was the unmistakable sound of birds singing, a song that in Nova Scotia is a sure sign of spring. As I scanned the top of the nearby chestnut tree, trying to find the source of the bird's beautiful song, I couldn't help but notice the vibrant blue sky and the golden light of the sun, crawling ever higher and with it, gradually waking up the day. See you the next time. Think, realize, appreciate. Don't need to say anymore. Gonna see you next time. Bye bye.